All right, so we're diving into those fitness articles, piling up, ready to finally crush those fitness goals, right?
Absolutely, it does a do.
But sometimes it feels like all that fitness advice out there, it's like more confusing than a HII class in the dark, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that.
Has anyone else tried those like vibrating belt things?
Yeah.
Thinking it was a shortcut to like a six-pack? Is
So,
that just me?
maybe.
Okay, well, good news is, in this deep dive, we are cutting through all the noise, figuring out what actually works, myth by myth.
I like it, and thankfully you don't need, like, a degree in exercise physiology to figure this stuff out.
Right.
What's so interesting to me is how many of these myths, they have, like, a little kernel of truth in them,
Right.
which is what makes them so sticky and hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
But we're going to break it all down, all the science, clear and actionable takeaways for you.
I love that. So let's start with a myth that I think we've all probably fallen for at some point.
Okay.
Spot reduction. So, those endless crunches to target that belly fat, or those inner thigh exercises for, leaner legs.
Right.
And one of the articles you sent in even had this whole section, like testimonials, people swearing by certain moves to tone this or that.
Yeah.
But does it really work like that?
It's tempting to think that we can, just pick and choose where our bodies lose fat.
Right.
Like, I want it off my thighs, but not my boobs,
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's just not that simple. Our bodies don't quite work like that.
Okay.
Like, picture this.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect to only lose weight in, say, your left arm if you were only lifting weights with that arm, right?
Okay. That makes sense when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But are you saying those targeted workout ads are like essentially lying to us?
I wouldn't say lying, but
Wow.
maybe like oversimplifying.
Yeah.
Definitely oversimplifying.
Okay.
They're tapping into our desire to have that quick fix.
Right. Right.
But fat loss is much more about your overall calorie intake, what you eat, and expenditure.
Right.
How much you're actually burning, not just like one specific area where you happen to be working out.
Right.
When you create what's called a calorie deficit, and that just means you burn more calories than you consume,
Okay.
your body starts using stored energy, which includes fat,
Okay.
but it pulls from everywhere,
Oh, okay.
not just that one spot you're focusing on.
So you mentioned calorie deficit.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who are maybe newer to this whole fitness thing,
Yeah.
could you break down exactly what that means and how we figure that out for ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine your body like a car,
Okay.
and it needs fuel to run, right?
Right.
And that fuel comes from the calories in the food that you eat.
Okay.
So if you're constantly filling your tank with more fuel, more calories than you're burning off through activity, you're in what's called a calorie surplus,
Okay.
which usually leads to weight gain.
Makes sense.
But if you're using more fuel, more calories than you're taking in, then you create that calorie deficit.
Right.
And that's when your body's like, okay, let's tap into those stored reserves, that fat, to make up the difference.
Okay, so less about crunches for a six-pack and more about that overall calorie-like equation.
Exactly, yeah.
Speaking of six-packs, though, there's this other myth I wanted to get into, and it's mainly targeted towards women, about lifting weights making you bulky.
Oh, yeah. That's a common one.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I've been guilty of this one. Like, sticking to those lighter weights, because I don't want to, get too muscular.
Sure, I hear you. It's a fear we hear all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really rooted in this misunderstanding of how muscle growth actually works.
Okay.
Building significant muscle mass, it takes a lot of effort.
Okay.
Dedicated effort, consistent training, and usually a calorie surplus.
Yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight because you did a few weightlifting sessions during the week.
So those of us who aren't, spending hours in the gym and following, like, those strict bodybuilding diets, we can probably relax a bit about accidentally turning into the Hulk?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, strength training is incredibly beneficial,
Okay.
especially for women. It helps increase your bone density, which is crucial as we age.
Right.
It boosts your metabolism.
Oh, wow.
And yes, it can create that lean, toned look that so many people want to achieve.
Okay, this is like a serious aha moment for me right now. I am putting down the pink dumbbells and stepping up my weight game.
I love it.
But while we're talking about, like, burning calories and boosting metabolism, let's address another big one.
Okay.
Cardio is king for weight loss.
Right.
Picture those marathon treadmill sessions, maybe even like wearing a garbage bag to try to sweat more.
Oh, yeah.
We've all been there, right?
We've all done it. Yeah, the more cardio, more weight loss equation is like
Yeah.
deeply ingrained.
Yeah.
And to be fair, cardio is great, fantastic for your cardiovascular health.
Right.
It does burn calories during the workout, sure. Yeah, but it's not the whole picture,
Right.
especially if you're looking for long-term sustainable results.
Okay.
One of the articles you sent actually compared it to like constantly spending money.
Okay.
You might see a difference, on the scale or in your bank account, but it's not sustainable.
Right.
And it's not really building any real wealth.
Right.
In this case, we're talking about metabolically active muscle.
Oh, okay. So what's the problem with just like solely relying on cardio then? Especially if someone's like really determined, they want to see those numbers on the scale go down.
Yeah, so if you're only doing cardio and not strength training, you're not really giving your body a reason to hold on to muscle mass.
Whoa.
In fact, it might even start breaking down muscle for energy,
What?
which actually lowers your resting metabolic rate.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and that's the number of calories you burn at rest, like doing absolutely nothing.
So you're telling me I can burn more calories while binging my favorite show?
Exactly. Who doesn't want that, right?
Seriously. Okay, so tell me more about this, like resting metabolic rate magic.
It's true. Muscle is more metabolically active than fat, meaning it just takes more energy for your body to maintain it.
Okay.
Every pound of muscle you gain can increase your resting metabolic rate by up to 50 calories per day.
That's amazing.
It's like investing in a long-term savings account for your metabolism.
I am sold. Strength training is key.
Yes.
But I feel like this ties into another myth that we hear all the time.
Okay.
More is always better.
Right.
If I'm not collapsing in a puddle of sweat, did I even work out?
I love the enthusiasm. I do.
Right.
But our bodies, unfortunately, don't actually work that way.
Okay.
One of the studies that you shared found that people who overtrained, they experienced more plateaus,
Oh, really?
more injuries, even hormonal imbalances.
Wow.
So rest and recovery, just as important as those high-intensity workouts.
Okay, so those rest days, they're not for the weak.
Not at all.
I can get behind that. Okay, so tell me more about why rest is so important.
Yeah, when you work out, you're creating these tiny micro tears in your muscle fibers.
Okay.
And that's actually a good thing. It's during those rest periods that your body actually repairs and rebuilds those fibers,
Okay.
making them stronger and ready for your next workout.
So it's like giving those muscles time to like rebuild bigger and better.
Exactly.
So skipping rest days is like skipping out on the gains that we're working so hard for.
Exactly. And not only that, but adequate rest also allows your energy stores to replenish,
Right.
reduces your risk of injury, and it helps prevent mental burnout, which can be just as detrimental as physical exhaustion.
It's so true. This is making me rethink like my entire approach to fitness.
I love it.
Okay, so we've tackled the how much of working out, but now let's talk about the like ever-present elephant in the room. The scale.
Okay.
We've all been there, right? Stepping on it multiple times a day, letting those numbers dictate our mood.
Yeah.
Is that a healthy way to track progress, though?
It's tempting to rely on the scale, I get it, but it can be super misleading.
Okay,
It doesn't differentiate between fat loss and muscle gain.
that's true.
Remember, muscle is denser than fat, so you could be gaining muscle and losing fat, which is a good thing,
Right.
but the scale might not budge. It might even go up slightly.
Wow, okay, so if we can't just rely on the scale then, how do we track progress and like stay motivated? Should we be like measuring our biceps every morning?
While tracking your measurements can be helpful,
Okay.
it's important to look at the bigger picture.
Right.
Pay attention to how your clothes fit,
Yeah.
how your energy levels are throughout the day,
Right.
how much stronger you feel. Like, can you lift heavier weights now? Can you run a mile faster? Those are victories worth celebrating.
I love that. Celebrating those non-scale victories.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about sweat? We've all had that feeling of, wow, I'm really sweating. I must be burning a ton of calories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One article you shared even talked about those sauna suits some people wear.
Right, right.
Is that legit?
That's a myth that just won't quit.
Oh.
Sweating is simply your body's way of regulating temperature. It's not directly correlated to calorie burn or fat loss.
Oh, okay.
You might sweat more in a hot yoga class than you do during a weightlifting session, but that doesn't mean you've worked harder or burned more calories.
So those sweat-drenched workout selfies might not be the most accurate indicator of a successful workout.
Probably not. No, a good sweat can feel really great.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's not the most reliable way to measure how effective your workout actually was.
Okay, sauna suits, debunked.
We got it, yeah.
But speaking of like pushing ourselves, let's talk about that other fitness mantra. No pain, no gain.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any truth to that? Or have we been completely misled?
It's tricky because there's a difference between pushing your limits in a good way
Right.
and then pushing yourself to the point of potential injury.
Right, right,
Some muscle soreness, especially after like a really tough workout or you try something brand new,
right.
totally normal.
Look.
It's called delayed onset muscle
Oh,
soreness.
there's a name for it.
There is, we like to abbreviate things in the fitness world. So
DOMS. Okay.
DOMS, and it's actually a good thing.
Okay.
It's a sign that your muscles are adapting and growing.
So like a little soreness can be a good thing.
A little soreness can be a good thing.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
How do we know the difference between like good soreness
Yeah.
versus pain that's like telling us to back off?
That's the million-dollar question. Right?
Yeah.
Think of it this way. Good soreness, it's usually more of a dull ache,
Okay.
and it usually peaks about a day or two after your workout.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be so intense that it limits your range of motion or prevents you from doing everyday activities.
Right.
Pain, on the other hand, usually sharper, stabbing, or it's very persistent.
Okay.
And that can be a sign that something's actually wrong, that you might have an injury.
So we should be listening to our bodies and not just like powering through any discomfort. Is that what you're saying?
Listen to your body. Exactly. It's
Right.
all about finding that sweet spot, right? Challenging yourself enough to stimulate that growth, but not so much that you end up sidelined with an injury.
This has been so eye-opening. We've tackled like so many common fitness myths today.
We really have.
I already feel so much more confident in making smarter choices for my workouts.
I'd love to hear that.
But before we wrap up, I kind of want to like recap.
Okay.
What are those real keys to actually achieving our fitness goals?
It really boils down to this.
Yeah.
Consistency, balance, and listening to your body.
Okay.
Find activities you enjoy. That's huge
Yeah.
because it helps you stick with it, right?
Right.
Incorporate both strength training and cardio. Fuel your body with nutritious foods. Prioritize sleep.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to take those rest days when you need them.
So it's about building those sustainable habits,
Yes.
not chasing those quick fixes or like punishing ourselves.
Exactly. I love it. It's not about punishment.
Yes.
And remember, fitness, it's not one size fits all.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another, and that's totally okay. It's about finding what works best for you, for your body, and for your goals.
I love that this deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We've debunked some major myths,
Forget it.
learned about the power of muscle,
Yes.
and realized that rest is not the enemy.
Rest is your friend.
I am feeling so motivated and ready to ditch those fitness fads for good.
Yes, I love it. You got this.
And who knows, maybe we'll even inspire a few people to ditch those vibrating belt machines along the way.
Let's do it.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.